advice do you have to homeowners?
Practicing that preparedness. Starting the conversation now is always going to be a benefit to any association out there.
And welcome to Recovery Report Live. I'm Dan Odess, president of GlobalPro, where we manage risk to recovery. I'm super excited to have you here with me today. It's just me, but it doesn't matter because we have awesome content. We have information you can use, as we always do. And as you all know, we are counting down to 10 years. We're just a couple weeks away from our 10th year in business. 10 years of success, 10 years of success because of so much support from our community, from our other vendors and partners. And we're going to talk all about that in the next few recovery reports. So make sure you tune in next week and the week after. So I tell you about a little bit about all the success we've had this year, as well as what to expect going into 2022 from the team at GlobalPro. We have a jam-packed year. We have things booked pretty much all the way to the end of next year. We have so many events every single week. There's so much to do and so much to get to. And I want to get to today's broadcast and talk about an important issue. Unfortunately, something that I think is plaguing mostly the community association industry. So if you are a business owner and you're tuning in, there is going to be some information in here for you to take away, because if you experience a loss, you are probably most often going to hire a third-party contractor. Typically, we call that a mitigation company, to actually mitigate, meaning in the context of insurance, stop the loss from getting worse, right? There's water in your building. You hire a contractor to come out. You entrust in them to protect your interest, to make sure, or to protect your property, not your interest. Why? Well, because, and I did that in person because I did that on purpose because that's what's happening here. There's this confusion over what the role of the contractor is. You hired the person to protect your interests. Oh, wait, no, you didn't. You hired them to perform construction services. That's it. In fact, that's what exactly the law says they can do. So as a business owner, you hire, just as a community association would hire, a mitigation contractor to protect your property from further damage, to stop it from getting worse. Those are called emergency services for a reason, because in that moment, it's an emergency. Which brings me to the next point, which is there's some confusion over how far that mitigation contractor should go in that initial phase. Should they be rebuilding your property? Should they be rebuilding your property at that moment, or even thinking about rebuilding your property before the claim is actually adjusted? A lot of times people are confused. We talk about this on the show various times. There's all kinds of information on our website, so hit it up at getglobalpro.com. Go to the resource section. You will see articles written about this process. This is the actual insurance claim process. This is when you actually have insurance. I mean, you paid all that money for your premiums. You have exhausted reserves or spent your hard-earned money, your association's money on insurance. You are spending other people's money as a board member on insurance. You are paying an insurance company to protect your property or to protect you financially in the event that your property has been damaged by a covered loss. There's a lot to unpack there, but you paid your premiums in exchange for them to cover damages to your property, your financial losses associated with those damages, right? You want to put that money to use. You want to use that product you bought, that insurance, to help you financially, whether you're a community association or business owner. You want to do those things, right? You want to, there's no reason to pay for insurance twice, right? There's no reason to buy the product and then also go out of pocket to make the repairs. All right, so let's talk about the role of the mitigation contractor. The role of the mitigation contractor is to perform emergency services. That's it, right? Because the process is mitigate, stop, recover the money you're entitled to, and then rebuild, right? Too often, unfortunately, we see the results of this method: mitigate, rebuild, hope you recover. And the reality of it is that you may recover some money from your insurance company, and you may even think that that was enough. Oh man, I didn't go out of pocket. But what did your insurance company pay for, right? And Another point, is it your insurance company paying for this work, or is it the insurance company through an assignment of benefits, which is typically found in most mitigation contractors, emergency work authorization contracts? It is a contract. I was on a phone with an association just last week, and I asked, did you sign a contract for them to start the rebuild? Because they had just told me, oh, they're starting on Monday. This was Friday. I'm like, did you sign a contract? And they said, well, no, we haven't signed a contract. I said, well, did you sign a work authorization? Oh, yeah, we signed one of those. Well, what's the difference? It's a contract. It literally gives them the right to do work. And I asked, well, what are they doing on Monday? And there's confusion, silence on the phone. Well, they're going to fix inside the units. Well, what inside the units? The drywall. Okay, well, did they remove the baseboard? Yeah, they did that too. Well, you didn't say that, but yeah, they're doing that too. How are they fixing the drywall? Well, they're just going to put the baseboards back on. So they're not going to fix the drywall? It was the most confusing conversation. It just clearly demonstrated that, and unfortunately, I see this all the time, it clearly demonstrated that this association did not have a scope of work. It's just a point that I'm going to get to here, right? Because the typical process, again, is mitigate, rebuild, and then recover. But the reality of it is that you either hoping you're going to recover, or you just think that because you have this, the insurance company is paying the contractor, that in some way you're okay, you're good. All right, I did what I had to do. I'm a board member. I don't need to do anything further. But you're the fiduciary for your association. And that money being paid by the insurance company to that contractor through this assignment of benefits and work authorization that most often no attorney has looked at, because if they did, I can assure you, in almost any instance where I've seen an attorney look at a work authorization from an emergency, from a mitigation contractor, there is always major changes to it. Most often they will attack the provisions for assignment of benefits. And most often it is the property management company which has brought that mitigation contractor to the board. I mean, maybe even the management company even owns the mitigation company. Who knows? Start asking questions. What's in that contract? What rights am I actually giving up? It's an assignment of benefits. So the money being paid by your insurance company to your contractor is actually your money. It's your association's money. It may not hit your bank account, which I would argue it should, but it may not hit your bank account. But the reality of it is it's still your money. You've given up control of that, though, through that AOB. Think about that. You're a fiduciary. You have hundreds of unit owners that are calling on you to make sure that you're protecting their financial interests, and you have no control over what your insurance company is paying, who they're paying it to, and when. Most importantly, when is it being paid? All right? Because we, as a contractor, which I am, who does perform construction services, it's very important to make sure that you get paid. You're in the business to get paid, right? To perform work and to get paid for those services. Only in insurance, when you have an emergency situation, do people somehow forget that they're still obligated to protect those interests of your fellow unit owners or your investors in your business, whatever it may be. Again, I said it would relate to business owners, right? So you're relinquishing that control to a contractor who's most interested in the next job, because most of these contractors overextend themselves, claim that, oh, they're the biggest, they're the best, everything else. The reality is that they're rolling from one job to the next. They may not even have enough equipment on your job. They just throw a few pieces hoping you don't say anything. And if you start complaining, they'll throw a couple more pieces. They don't want to throw too much because they don't want to upset the insurance company. All right. Well, I do know that one of the largest mitigation contractors, or most often one of the retained in the South Florida region, works for insurance companies against other associations and also mitigation contractors as experts, and critiquing and criticizing their billing. Interesting, right? So, and sometimes I find them on properties where the insurance companies, they're obligated to pay for a covered loss to an association, and the association is quite clueless as to what they're actually getting paid for and what they're doing. I mean, clearly a conflict of interest, right? If you've worked for the insurance company and now you're working for the association that is getting paid directly by that insurance company, or getting paid for work directly by the insurance company without the association aware of what's going on, and that has not been disclosed, or that relationship, that ongoing business relationship with that insurance company hasn't been disclosed, you start to kind of wonder as to, who are they here for? Are they there for themselves and to protect the interest or their working relationship with the insurance company, who's not only hiring them to critique and criticize other contractors, their competitors, to beat up their competitors on their bills, but also is now working for me and working directly with the insurance company and being paid my benefits directly without me having any say in it? Come on. Let's unpack and unravel this and think a little bit closer about what's going on about here. Let's think about you as a board member. Let's think about your fiduciary obligations, and let's let the smoke clear, all right? Let's think through this process a little bit more and understand this too. It's illegal for your mitigation contractor to negotiate with the insurance company their bill. They could simply present it. There was literally additional revisions to the Florida statutes, which we can provide you all this information. Most of it's available on our website. We discussed it in prior broadcasts. We teach classes to licensed CAMs and board members on the specific issues. I've invited other mitigation contractors to participate in that, and they will acknowledge and admit that at times the insurance companies will try to engage them in sort of negotiations, and it's tempting, right? It's your bill, and you have a right to money to be directly paid someone else's benefit, that being the association's benefits. You want to get involved in that, but the reality of it is that you are there to present your bill. That's it. You're there to do work for an association and then present your bill. That's it. Submit for it. The insurance company will go through it, whatever else, but at the end of the day, it's the association's money, right? Regardless of whether it's getting paid directly. So you as a board member, think real hard about how this is supposed to go on. If they can't negotiate this and it's your benefit being paid to them, who's representing your interest in this? The insurance company's adjuster? The third-party administrator, which in our industry is an acronym TPA? Maybe the insurance company's attorneys? Come on. No one. You as a board member, even if you are an insurance agent or broker, even if you are a lawyer, you're still not an adjuster. If maybe you are. Let's just go to the extreme situation. You are an adjuster. It's still your claim. Most attorneys will tell you that they won't even represent their own interests in court. If they, for some reason, unfortunately, are dealing with a lawsuit of their own, they will typically hire other counsel to defend them or to pursue their claims on their behalf. So why is it as a board member, do you think because you are these professionals, right? Maybe you are very successful. Maybe you are very wealthy. Maybe this is just of interest to you because you're just bored, right? And you want to do something. It doesn't change the fact that you have many other people that are relying on you, owners of this property, whether they're investors or full-time residents in the building, more full-time residents than ever before, that are more closely looking at what things are going on. Why? Because they can zoom into meetings, they can physically appear because they're actually at the property. They're going to be more interested in what's going on, and again, while the complaint may be, oh, we just wanted to get the drywall fixed, because we have unit orders down our throats about getting it done and everything else. However, down the road, and it has happened way too many times to count, as you go down the road and down that path of just satisfying that one unit owner that is yelling the loudest, you're potentially, I would actually err on the side of caution here and say that you're most likely prejudiced and interested of all the other unit owners, even the ones that are not even impacted by it, because if there's any shortfall in that recovery, or let's say that maybe there's an appearance that there isn't, but there's another loss down the road that somehow is prejudiced by the fact that you did not make certain repairs the first time around, or worse than that, you have 3-4 claims down the road and someone realizes that every one of those recoveries was not correct, which I'm going to get to an example of that in a minute here. Suddenly everyone's looking back at every single thing that you've done and now diving into every single thing you've done, not just with these insurance claims. And I'm telling you, it happens. It happens more often than you think. So whether you're a property manager or a board member, start to think about the consequences of your actions today, because let's say you continue to root with the same insurance company. Well, they're going to take advantage of the fact that you're okay and willing to take just only that little bit. When the reality of it is that while they and the contractor may agree that the carpets need to be cleaned, well, when the seams start coming apart or the the carpet starts to fade, or suddenly as you're walking over the carpet, stains appear, or issues that carpet, it doesn't wear properly, or wears out faster or quicker than it's supposed to, which we see all the time. Or worse than that, maybe your contractor punched a hole, put the baseboard up, never even fixed the drywall. Even worse than that, never fixed the actual fire-rated drywall and fireproofing system properly. And there's a fire in the building and someone gets hurt, and they find out that had the walls been properly repaired, the fire would not have spread as fast and damaged as many units, and no one would have gotten injured. All right, and this is real stuff. This isn't just an exaggeration of a situation. There's a reason why if there's holes in demising walls and fire-rated walls, you need to pull a permit. In one situation, a contractor that, by the way, actually does work for insurance companies and does exactly what I described earlier, didn't do that. The city of Miami finds out, puts a stop work order on, shuts it down, it interferes with the closing on units, costs the association money and fines. By the way, none of that's covered by insurance. Now you have a separate claim against the contractor. These things happen. What is your contractor doing in units? What is the wall detail in the wall that they just punched a hole in? Have you looked at your architecturals? Has the mitigation contractor even asked for those plans? Do they even know what's in those plans or in those walls and what to do in that instance? Most often, no. They just are in agreement with the insurance company because they're getting direct paid. They're getting their bills paid. They're moving on. But you as the board member and you as the property manager who brought that contractor into the fold, the board member that trusted the property manager and signed that work authorization without the attorney looking at it, who then has the unit owner breathing down your throat to get the drywall fixed, and you don't have to worry about them getting paid? I'm done. I'm over this. But the reality, but a good question. Soon after the mitigation is completed, right, and you've stopped the loss from getting worse, you've sanitized the area so there's no health or threat to anyone's health, what's the emergency? At that point, why is it that most associations will just seemingly let the mitigation contractor, who now suddenly is a general contractor, who knows how to fix and finish drywall and high-end millwork. By the way, they're not doing any of that. They're just subcontracting it all out. Most of them subcontract it all out and don't even act as a GC and don't even pull the permit. They just let the subcontractors do it anyways. It's just a conundrum. It's stupid, right? You paying a third party a profit for literally doing nothing, not even providing the overhead and profit and the direct expense of general supervision, expenses you would typically pay a GC, is going to nothing, and then they subcontract it all out, but you have no control over that because, again, the insurance can be paid them directly. But you know what? No one's complaining. Well, no one's complaining because no one's actually looked at what they're doing. No one really knows what's actually being paid or the scope of the work or what has actually been agreed to. I mean, it's amazing. We just had a claim literally yesterday. The mitigation contractor wrote a $2,000 bill to patch holes in the hallways. Under further investigation, we quickly realized it's a three-piece base molding that you need to take apart and really kind of put back together and caulk and whatever else. When you went and actually looked at it, it was a complete mess. There was no caulk, there was no wood putty, there was no repainting of the baseboards, which, by the way, they got paid for. But they got paid to remove and replace baseboards. They removed and reinstalled the baseboards. They got paid to paint the baseboards, didn't paint the baseboards. We pulled off a section of the baseboard. Yes, they did patch holes, but it is, yes, a fire-rated wall. $2,000 ends up turning into $38,000 just for that one hallway. I mean, there's so many things wrong with that. We had one instance in Brickell Key, where 2 years after the loss happened, I'm there on a new claim. It was a complex loss. That's why they wanted GlobalPro, right? They didn't call us for the water claim that happened 2 years ago because it was a simple pipe break. I hear these things all the time. I'm out there with the same adjuster that handled that simple pipe break for this complex issue. Another water loss, but it was more convoluted. There was issues of causation, and we were looking into it, and there was a huge discrepancy in really the amount of the damages because we had elevators and mechanical systems involved, et cetera, whatever else. This other loss, though, was seemingly small. That's what we thought it was. Well, this same adjuster is basically pointing to this other claim. Well, I'm like, okay, well, let me look at that other claim. I get the estimate and the evaluation, start looking at it. He had a simple thing resulted in a more than $90,000 increase in recovery on that one loss. Why? Because he mismeasured the hallways by 1,100 square feet. And I asked the association, why didn't you replace the carpets? He doesn't want to pay for these carpets today because he says he paid for the carpets under that other claim. And when I went back and looked at it, they're like, oh, we didn't have enough money. I'm like, did anyone think to ask? Like, why not? And I come to find out, 1,100 square foot difference per hallway, it was like 22 stories, I believe it is. 22 stories. Huge difference in that recovery. The interesting thing is many of these mitigation contractors, when they can't get their bills paid or don't get them paid properly, we're their first phone call, and they're making the recommendation to engage GlobalPro. Oh, please get them in here. And they're threatening to lien the building. Literally the same contractor that just last week was involved in this situation where they were telling a new association, it'll take longer. Don't get someone involved because it's going to take longer. Well, that's interesting. That's the same mitigation contractor that was at this same loss where I was just talking about, where the carpet replacement, all right? It's the same contractor that has the violation with regarding the permit, but now they're here at this new property telling this association it's going to take longer. Come on, guys. Come on. Eyes wide open. Let's start thinking about these things. Let's start asking the right questions. Understand the process. Understand that this is still your money. Protect your interest in that money. What is your duty and obligation to hurry a construction project? It's the opposite. There's no emergency. What are you doing? The laws don't allow them to negotiate anyways. So who's checking what that contractor is doing once they've mitigated the emergency? What are you doing? How are you complying with your obligation, your fiduciary obligations as a board member, as a property manager? How are you doing that? All right? We're rolling into 2022. Turn a new leaf over. Open your eyes to the reality that we live today. Your policies are more expensive. You have less coverage. It's just a point blank, right? Either your deductibles are seemingly higher or you just aren't covered allegedly for the same things you were yesterday. Suddenly water getting in a building from a hurricane is something other than hurricane damage, and now it's wind-driven rain. We learned about that one in 2017 through the present day. We're still contending with that issue. Interestingly enough, they changed the policies to actually clearly now say if the wind-driven rain is from a hurricane, it's not covered. But in 2017, many of the forms didn't say that. But many associations, again, didn't ask the question, didn't involve insurance coverage experts at GlobalPro in that process. Just the same as you would for a water pipe break. Other people say, oh, this is easy, it's straightforward cover. I hear that from brokers all the time. It's like, come the fuck on. It doesn't make sense. It makes no sense at that point. The policies are complicated. Most of these brokers that are saying that don't even have a copy of your insurance policy. So go ask them for it. But a demand that they immediately send it to you that day. I would bet money they probably can't even do that. Why? Because they sold you something based on a spreadsheet, not the actual product. They handed you keys to a car and said, well, it might be white. Well, it came red. Yeah, well, it's close enough. It's still a car. Come on, right? When you have an issue with your car, do you go to the car salesman, saleswoman, car salesperson? Do you go to the car mechanic who has the tools and the competency to get it done right the first time? It may take longer because the salesperson may take shortcuts, may not have the right tools. I mean, maybe they just get it up in there, the filter. They're just like, oh, there's a new filter in there. Well, yeah, but did you drain the old oil? I got it done faster for you, though. Come on. Again, you wouldn't do it there. Most people, when they have a legal issue, they don't just make an assumption and say, hey, judge, what are you going to do? And then go hire the lawyer, right? Are you calling your insurance companies directly and buying insurance? Or are you buying it through a salesperson, a broker, right? They're a broker, a third-party middle person, right? They have no vested interest in the outcome of your claims. They don't, okay? Other than the fact that some of them actually get paid bonuses. The brokerage firms will actually get a share in profits if there are claims. So I would actually, maybe they do, and it's just not in your same interest, though. These are all facts. These are real things. I go fact check me. Go ask these questions. Go ask the tough questions about whose interests they are protecting. Who have they worked for in the past? What are they going to do? What is your obligation right now if you have a water loss or you have a fire or you have just a what they call daily claim, right? In the insurance industry, we call daily claims. You know, what is your obligation, fiduciary obligation? Is it to satisfy the one unit owner yelling the loudest, or is it to protect the financial industry association, and especially if the benefits being paid to a third party is in fact the association's money, which it is? Should you not know what it's being paid for? Well, I want to lend on that note. I want you to think about that. All right. For all those that are tuning in or that are watching this, and you know, later on, start to ask the right questions. Start to understand the process. Don't just make assumptions. Don't assume that because you are a professional, you can do this on your own. It's becoming more increasingly difficult. The policies are becoming more complex. So you need to start asking more questions. You need to understand your liabilities. I mean, in the wake of the Champlain South Tower tragedy, I mean, come on, start asking the right questions. Do you think when they were getting notices of these issues with the property and the damages that they thought to engage an insurance coverage expert to see maybe, hey, maybe this isn't the special assessment we're trying to so desperately avoid propounding on our fellow unit owners, and maybe there is coverage for these things to offset potential expenses to make this easier or more palatable to all these people in our association that are on a fixed income? Who knows? Maybe work would have gotten done sooner. You know, that's your opportunity. Your opportunity is today. Change things going into 2022. We are here. We are always here 24/7, 365 days a year. That's what GlobalPro is about. The Recovery Report Live is an extension of that. Every Thursday at 11 o'clock, we are going live. We are providing you information you can use. I'm so excited about 2022. Baby, it's 10 years. I can't wait. I know my whole team's excited about it. We have so much to talk about. I can't wait to give you all the information as to what to expect. So in our final broadcast of 2021, we will be talking about some of the things to expect in 2022. But I want to wish all of you a happy holidays from our team to you, to your entire team, to your associations, to your businesses. Thank you so much for continuing to tune in. And remember, like us, follow us on all the social media platforms, hit us up on our website. Let us know how we can help you. That's what this is all about. I want to make sure that I'm giving you information you can use. So ask questions, you know, get involved, get engaged with us, engage us in conversations about this, challenge us on issues regarding insurance and business. Let us help you be more successful in this new year. And on that note, thank you all for joining us this week, and we will see you next week right here, same place, same time, 11 o'clock, live on the Recovery Report. Thank you so much.